All right. So good morning. Welcome to brain training. My name's Stephanie, and today we're going to be working on just sort of a general approach to make your make your body feel better than it already is, using both some self-massage techniques, a little bit of movement on the floor, and then also some eye tracking and vestibular organization drills. But first, before we start class today, I do want us to do a check-in on either your gait, or maybe your just seated posture, or maybe a few sit to stand. So sitting up from your chair and then standing back down. So let's, some of you may be able to do all of those things. Some of you maybe only one or two of those things. So let's just go ahead and stand on up from the chair and see how that feels. And go ahead and take a seat down in the chair and then stand back up from your chair about 10 times. And as you're doing this, notice for yourself how it feels in your body. Is it smooth? Is it hard? Is it sticky? Do you bias the right side over the left side? Just take one or two notes, mental notes on the experience. And I know it's hard to take notes on an experience that maybe is so mundane, but there might be something there. Good. And then go ahead and finish standing after you've done about 10. And we're going to walk around the room. Just walk as you normally would and notice what's happening in your body as you're walking. This may be, again, something mundane and that you do all the time, and just take some notes on maybe your stride length, your speed, your hip rotation, your trunk rotation, your arm swing. Is it present or not present? Do you tend to look down at the floor or not? And just the general feeling of the walk. Oh, another thing to maybe take note is the sound that your walk is making. So are you heavy on your feet? Okay. All right. And then go ahead and bring it back to your little station here. I've got a stool that I'm going to sit on for this first bit, but you're welcome to sit on the floor as well or stand. Go ahead and just bring your hands onto your thighs or onto your hips. And we're going to do a few shoulder rolls just to get us into our body. Roll the shoulders forward and up to your ears, and then down your back. Forward, up to your ears, and then down your back. And as you're going through this sort of preliminary movement as well, you can take note of how your shoulders are moving in general. Does one side feel more sticky than the other side? Is there a quadrant of that circle that feels challenging to get into? And maybe even the amplitude or the bigness, the range of motion that you're moving in. You can kind of look at yourself in the mirror of the camera in that way too. Good. All right. And then go ahead and relax those shoulders. And we're going to look to the left and then look to the right. And again, just taking note of your neck rotation. How far can you move your neck? Does it feel more stiff or looser on one side versus the other? Good. And then release. And then go ahead and close your eyes and take a few breaths. Make sure you exhale in between them. And we're noticing also a few characteristics of our breath just to start. Where does it enter? Do you feel resistance at all on either the inhale or the exhale? I have allergies. I'm a little congested, so I'm just I note that for myself. Where does it fill? How far down in your thorax does that air flow? and then also sort of the tempo of your breath. So do you have a longer, well, tempo would be just a full cycle. So how quickly or slowly are you breathing? And then also the different phases of your breath. So you have what's called the inhale, and you have the breath hold, and then you have the exhale phase, and then there's what's called the vacation phase where your lungs are vacated. And so kind of taking note of what each of those phases feel like and how long you're taking for each of those phases. And again, no judgment. We're just being very objective with our observations. Great. And then go ahead and open up your eyes. Nice. All right. So just a quick little anatomy lesson to go on here. So in the base of your skull, you have a lot of important structures that run from your brain to the rest of the body. This is like the back of your neck is like the super highway for nerve communication, blood flow, lymph drainage. So like all of the fluids that, you know, are circulating and cleaning out your brain, and that flushes down to the rest of the body. In that area as well, you have your cranial nerve, your ocular nerves, which are cranial nerves, but your ocular nerves. So the nerves that control your eyeballs and the way that you kind of sense and interpret your world through your visual system. So back here is an important place to make sure that it's open and fluid and allowing all of those messages and blood flow and fluids to go. So we're going to just do a little self massage on the back of your neck. So right here, we're just going to take your fingers and just give yourself a little magic massage right at the base of your skull. And I particularly like tractioning north. All right. So I'm trying to pull myself north. And what that does, kind of in the same token, is it allows you to retract your chin. I'm going to do it with my hand down. Retract your chin a little bit, which then creates more engagement of your front neck flexors, which connects your core, and then openness in the back of your neck, as opposed to being here, right, where we're closed in the back. So opening, you even heard my voice changed in that one. Oh, that's another important structure, right? Is your windpipe and your vocal. All right. So making sure that you have nice and open back of the neck. Okay. I got my little microphone, so I'm kind of like navigating this little wire, but you can do long sweeping strokes all the way up to the crown of your head. Good. And kind of in the same token, you're pressing your head back into your hands. We'll do one or two more there. Good. And then we've done this one in the past where you're going to take one hand over to the side of your neck, kind of wrap it around. Maybe it's like right behind your ear, sitting up nice and tall so that we get that spinal alignment through the neck. And we're going to pull the skin around and look to your elbow at the same time. And we'll reset. Again, I'm navigating my little microphone here, so it's a little funky. And if you want to see maybe the back version of that, is I got my little rock climber grip with my fingers and pulling the skin over to the other side. Good. And there's active rotation in your neck and your eyes turning towards the elbow. Last one. Good. Well, let's do the other side. I already feel better. Thank you, Judy, for suggesting all of the neck stuff. All right, so we're going over to the other side and we're going to pull across and turning the eyes and the head to the elbow. That's important. We got to bring in that the visual system and the eye movement. Good. And if your hair still looks good after today's session, I don't think you got deep enough. All right. So this is, we're going to have messy hair at the end of this. Okay, good. I'm going to do 2 more on that side. Make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall. And last one. Good. Nice. All right. And then we're going to take the tips of your fingers again and just give yourself an imaginary shampooing. We all know this is the best part of going to the salon. Maybe, I don't know if the guys know that, but some barbershops do this. Yeah. Beautiful. And so we're just giving, again, a little bit of squeeze. Well, first we're tugging on the skin. And then what I want you to do is squeeze your brain a little bit and pump. This is pumping the fluids through and helping them drain. The bad fluids drain and the good fluids come in. Fun fact, that's called your lymphatic system, and it's most active when you're sleeping. That flushing of your brain. That's why sleep's so important. All right, and then go ahead and shake it out. All right, let's do a little bit for our tongue and our speech. All right, so we're going to take our thumbs right underneath the jawline. And my voice is going to change. But we're going to go underneath and pull across, pull to the front. So right here, you're going underneath, hook your thumbs underneath your jawline and bring it all the way to the front apex of your chin. Okay. It's called root of tongue massage. Oh, might be a little painful on one side. You can go backwards too. There's no directional thing on this. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 more strokes. Good. We're going to do a little bit of work with our tongue too. So we're going to take our tongue to the left side, or that would be your right side, and puff up your cheek. And then over to the other side. And then, Now we're going to fill those areas with air. We're going to do that one more time. This one always gets me. Good. And then make a really cheesy smile. Really big. Really big. And then frown. And then cheesy smile again. And then frown. And cheesy smile. Good. Nice job. Now I know we were just touching our hair with our fingers, so our fingers might be a little oily. If you want to wipe them off on your clothes, you can, but we're going to do a little bit of massage on the top of the eyebrows. Eyelids. In traditional Chinese medicine, this is called face lift. It's an acupressure point that helps activate facial, the nerves that innervate and support facial movements. Okay, so expressive movements in your face. So right here, we're going to go, let's see if I can find it in the camera. Sorry, getting so close. So it's right between your tear duct and the top of your eyebrow. And you're just going to take your finger right there. And you can do one side or both sides at the same time. And right here, the fingers are just going to lay on top of the skin. You don't have to press very hard. In fact, the fact that our fingers are a little bit oily is kind of nice, because basically you're just going to make the tiniest little circles you can in that area. And I'm not even pressing very hard. I'm kind of just being sticky on the skin and then moving the skin in circles, because the nerve is right underneath the skin. So you don't have to press very hard. And then reverse the circle. Good, good. And then go ahead and just brush over the top of your eyebrows, over the top of your eyebrows. If you've ever heard of gui sha, like stone massage, this is kind of along those same lines. I don't know if this will help wrinkles, but I do know it helps with facial nerve activation. Good. And then we're going to do the same thing sort of right here. Where is it? Right here. So corners of the mouth and then a little bit in. You can either use pinkies or index fingers. Same thing. This is called your trigeminal nerve, and it comes right out of these little holes in your jawbone. And again, the nerve is right underneath the skin, so you don't have to press really hard. Just right underneath. It gets sticky on the finger and then little circles. And then reverse the direction. Good. Nice. And then release. Are we going to do a little bit more facial expressions? Show me a face that you would create if you were shocked on something, like someone told you just something really shocking. Good. And then something, someone told you the funniest joke you could ever hear in the world. I know you can fake laugh. It's fine. It's fine. You can fake laugh. Good, good. And then something that's really scary. Let me see those facial expressions. There you go. Nice. Now something that's really peaceful. You're looking at something that's very peaceful and beautiful. Yeah. And then you just saw someone that you haven't seen for a really long time. What would be the facial expression that you would have for them? Or post-COVID, COVID's gone. Hi. Awesome. So good. Beautiful. Nice. So don't neglect making facial expressions. That's an important part of your training as well, especially with some of the things that you might be dealing with the Parkinson's. All right, we're going to continue down. So we did a bunch of face stuff, a little back of the neck stuff. We're going to continue down a little bit for neck and shoulders. We've done this one in the past too. Two options for this one. I'm going to show you option one, but I prefer option two in case you want to try that also. So right here, we're going to take the skin on your neck, and no, this is not going to make your skin more flabby. It will increase the elasticity of your skin. And so you're going to pinch the skin with 4 fingers, I guess, 2 pinchers, and you're going to roll down. It's called skin lift technique. You're going to roll down from the jawline to your collarbone. Can we see what we're doing here? Good. And you're going to come all the way to the collarbone. And then we go over to sort of the next column, and then we'll come up. Okay. All the way to the jawline. And you'll notice that maybe some areas are a little bit more sticky. Remember, you're not just pulling, don't just pull the skin. Try to get the fascia and maybe some muscle underneath. Okay. And then we'll go over to the next column. I can usually get about 3 columns before I hit my windpipe. Okay. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to show you option 1 on both sides, and then we can double back. This one always feels so good for me. So we're going to do it twice. Go ahead and start somewhere. So you can either start here or you can start where you did on the other side, and skin roll technique. This technique is kind of interesting if you ever have an area of your body that feels a little bit like numb or just heavy, or like the nerves just aren't really going through. You could do this yourself or have a partner do it for you, maybe like even on your calves or something like that. Really, this is just helping you lift the layers, separate the layers of tissue in this area so that your nerves can flow better, so that your blood can flow better. You have obviously a lot of blood flow that comes through your neck to your brain, to your body. And then also there's a lot of lymph in this area too. Again, that drainage from your brain, getting all the bad stuff out of your brain. Good. And then bring it down. Nice. Before we do the other side, just give yourself a general rub over your collarbones. This is, again, another good hot spot to work. Your collarbones, your clavicle, both on top of the clavicle and then underneath your clavicle. There's a lot of nerves here that cue calming, particularly on the left side. If this area is really tight, your liver may not be functioning quite as well. So if you're feeling swelling in your feet or just overall inflammation, working this side on the left side in particular is going to support you in helping reduce swelling. Go ahead and switch to the other side. Look at this. You guys get like a little anatomy, little osteopathic knowledge. Yeah. Good. All right. So if you have a ball, particularly a ball that's a little bit tacky, this is nice to do with a ball. You can also do it with your knuckles. So last time we did skin lift technique, which I actually do this on my abs, like my stomach a lot if I'm feeling like indigestion. So that's a nice one to do. Or you can do more of a spiraling effect. Okay, so you can do this with knuckles, like spiraling, but I like using the ball. So I stick the ball in my neck and then I rotate the ball towards my ear. And you're kind of rotating it back and pulling it forward at the same time. So it starts to travel. And again, the idea with this one is so that you're grabbing the skin kind of with the tackiness of the ball and spiraling it. And then you can get both sides. This one's nice too. It takes a little, it doesn't take quite as long because the surface area of the ball kind of gets everything at once. But it is harder to get into the nooks and crannies of like back here under your ear. Good. Nice. All right, once you feel good with that, let's just do a couple of shoulder rolls just to kind of see how we feel. Turn your head right and left. Hopefully maybe there's a little bit of a change already. How we doing? Thumbs up if you already feel better in your neck. Awesome. Great. Okay. So for shoulders, this is what I love about shoulders too. And I'm glad I wore this kind of lower top today. So the shoulders, let's just do a little quick anatomy. So you have your arm bone. I'm going to do layman's terms for the most part. Arm bone, shoulder blade, which is like that triangular piece in the back. The shoulder blade comes up and you have the tip of the shoulder blade. And then the shoulder blade attaches to your clavicle or your collarbone. So go ahead and kind of feel that in your body. If you can reach back and kind of say, okay, shoulder blade, and maybe you like move your shoulder blade around. Okay, that's my shoulder blade. Put that map in your brain. And then the tip of the shoulder. And then follow, maybe you can even feel the bone as it comes to the middle. And then it attaches to your sternum, your chest bone. Okay. The cool thing about your shoulder is that it has a lot of range of motion. So your shoulder is able to move in all sorts of ways. And one of the reasons it's able to do that is because it doesn't really have a joint. So like our elbow, for example, is like two bones coming together and they're a hinge joint. The shoulder is what's called it's like a floating joint. So it kind of just floats over the top of your rib cage, which is kind of interesting, right? Because like, okay, scapula or shoulder blade, it has this little cup and then the arm bone goes into it. That's the ball and socket. But the shoulder girdle, so those two together, don't actually attach to your rib cage in the way that you might think of like an elbow does. And the way it attaches actually is through ligaments and muscles, first of all. And then its only bony attachment to your trunk is through the clavicle attaching to the sternum here. Okay. Otherwise, it's technically floating in space. Okay. So if this point here is stuck, then this is going to feel stuck as well. Okay. So we're going to work a little bit on this clavicle and see if it helps. Before we do any of that, and I know we've sort of already loosened up a little bit, go ahead and just bring your arms up overhead and bring them down. And just notice what range of motion you have available to you at this moment. Is it stickier on the right side? Is it stickier on the left side? You can even look at yourself in a mirror and kind of say, okay, can I get my arms fully up? Or are they kind of out in front? Or are they kind of bent? Good. Take some mental notes. Nice. All right. So then pick a side that you want to work with first. Maybe that's your more challenged side. And we're going to place the fingers right on the collarbone. Actually, I'm going to do this side because the lighting is helping it. So you can actually see how my collarbone sort of sticks out a little bit more here. And what happens with this collarbone is that its movement allows for more shoulder movement, like I said, because this is the bony part. So when the arm lifts up, you can kind of see it, the collarbone drops down. It has to drop down. And then when the arm bone comes down, it sort of comes back to your neutral. Yeah, right. I know we're all like, what? Yeah. So if this isn't dropping down, you're going to maybe feel stuck in your shoulder. Okay. So this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. So we're going to facilitate that. You're going to take your hand on the bone. And as you lift your arm up towards the ceiling, we're going to pull. It's almost like, again, that traction, that stickiness on your skin. Pull the bone downward. Yeah, skin to skin's better. And then bring it down. And we'll just do that a few times. Pull down as the arm lifts, and then reset that traction hand too. Pull down and lift. Nice. The arms are getting straighter. Nice. And pull and lift. Straighten out that elbow. Can you get all the way close to your ear? That's it. 2 more. Pull and lift. And last one. And we'll do pull and lift here. Good. Nice job. Let's do the same thing on the other side. This one for me usually doesn't need it as much, but we're going to do it anyway. Pull and drop and return. And even just the visualization of the bone dropping down is helpful to create the space, even if you're not really grabbing it with your hand, because that does take a little bit of kind of practice to kind of get that touch. Yeah. And as you're doing it, try to visualize it also happening in your body. I got my skeleton behind my screen. I was just looking, I could show you. Last 1 or 2. Excellent. Nice job. All right. So in addition to moving up and down, the bones also move a little bit forward and backwards. Okay. But it would be opposite of where the shoulder is going. So right here, if you have a tendency to be forward rolled in your shoulders, then the clavicles are back a little bit. And then when the shoulders roll open, the clavicles come forward. So I want you to do this with your hands, sort of mimicking the bones real quick, just so we have an imagery. So the clavicles go in as the shoulders come forward, and then the clavicles come forward as the shoulders go back. Okay. In and forward, back. Yes. in and forward, back. Good. Maybe last two. And last one. Good, good. And then shake it out. Let's just do a little post test on both of those shoulders. Let's see if anything changed, if it got better, worse, same, or different. There we go. Get those elbows all the way straight. See if you can get them close to your ears. There you go. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit of a difference. If you didn't, maybe it wasn't the clavicle that was tight. Maybe it's something else. And last one. Good, good. And release. Nice job. Thumbs up if you felt a positive change. Thumbs down if you felt a negative change. Neutral if you felt no change. Okay, great. Perfect. All right, we're going to come onto the ground and do a little bit of movement. So if you'd like to clear your space, hopefully it's already clear, and come on down. I'm going to bring the computer with me. Good. And then go ahead and just lay down on the ground. And we'll have our feet flat and the knees bent. That's called a hook lying position. Hook lying position. Feet flat, knees bent. And then go ahead and just lay on your back here. So we're going to go palms facing up towards the ceiling. We're just going to make snow angels with the arms. So the palms facing up. Trace your arms out to the side and bring them as far up overhead as you can. And then snow angel the arms back down by your side. Very simple, very simple. As you work through your snow angel, we're going to try to keep your wrists and your knuckles down on the ground. So not just your knuckles, but your wrists and your knuckles down on the ground. If you have a watch or a wedding ring on or something, you may want to take that off. So drag or turn your ring around. Yeah. Good. We'll just do that 2 more times. And last one. Finish with your arms up as high as you can over past your ears. And go ahead and splay your ribs and let your back arch off the ground simultaneously. Good. And then from here, if you could press your back down into the ground, and your arms may lift when that happens. And if they don't, no big deal. But if they do, no big deal. Okay. So your ribs are now heavy. Maybe you feel some ab work going on. Go ahead and let the arms float down to the mat if they're not already there. Splay your ribs and arch your upper back and mid back off the ground. And then press your ribs down, press your bra strap down into the ground, press your mid back or in between your shoulders down into the ground. And if your arms lift up a little bit, that's okay. So we're just going arch spine, pressed down spine. And if the arms lift up a little bit, that's okay. Let's just do that a few more times. It's almost like you're laying on your back cat cow. Okay. Now, as you're working through this, especially when you press your ribs down into the ground or your back down into the ground, you may feel your arms lift a little bit and the stretch gets really intense in their shoulders. If you're feeling pinching, then widen out your hands a little bit so you have some more space. Let's do 2 more. And last one. Beautiful. And then release. Go ahead and roll onto your side. And you can make a pillow or grab a pillow with your bottom arm. So we talked about shoulder mobility is a function of your clavicle mobility. Shoulder mobility is also a function of your thoracic spine mobility. So your upper back mobility. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of thoracic rotation. So go ahead and bring your arm forward. You're going to rotate all the way forward until the logo of your shirt is down on the ground, or if you were wearing a logoed shirt. Spiral the arms up and around. We're going to rotate behind us to try to get our shoulders down towards or on the ground behind you. Go ahead and sweep the hand back down towards your hips, reach it towards your heels, reach it back forward again. Try to get the logo of your shirt to be flat on the ground. And we're going to go ahead and work through that. That's called a pinwheel stretch. I think we've done this in the past where maybe all my classes are starting to blend together. Imagine you're holding a paintbrush and you're trying to paint the biggest circle you possibly could paint around you. Now, just a quick note to notice, do your hips move when you do this, or are you able to isolate the spine and rotation? And if your hips do move, I'd like you to try to keep your hips stationary and just let your spine move. So what that might mean then is when the arms come backwards, you're trying to take your top hip forward so that it counters the movement. Good. And it helps to have your knees bent too. Let's do one more time because this always feels so good. Reaching up and around. Great. Perfect. All right. We're going to go to the other side. If you want to roll over to the other side, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to switch so I can still face you. But there'll be no surprises. So if you're turned away from the camera, no big deal. All right. Go ahead and reach forward all the way. Again, the logo of your shirt comes down to the ground. Halo the arm up and around, or paintbrush that big circle. You're trying to get the upper back and shoulder maybe towards the ground or on the ground. And then go ahead and sweep through again. So reaching up and pulling open. Reaching up and pulling. And again, for yourself, do the hips like to move with your spine, or are you those a little bit so you can get thoracic rotation, spine rotation without necessarily moving the hips? Not that moving the hips is a bad thing, but we want to. Good. Last one here. Good, good. And then go ahead and lie back on your back in your hook lying position with your feet flat and your knees bent. Good. And we're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing one another. It's called rib cage arms, similar to what we did just before our spine twists. Right here, I want you to press your low back and your mid back down into the ground. So if you're wearing a bra, it's right where your bra clasp would be. You're trying to press that down into the ground. If you don't wear a bra, it would be like right in between your shoulder blades, or right below your shoulder blades, I should say. And then go ahead and release that out. So you're going to feel a little bit of core work there. So go ahead and press back down again and hold that. Now bring one arm up overhead to reach overhead, but keep that rib engagement. Keep that upper ab engagement down. Good. And then bring it back up. You can take a little break if you need it. Reinvest in that ab engagement. Press your low back down into the ground, mid back into the ground. Bring your other arm up overhead. And then bring it back center. Good. So the challenge here is, can you bring your arms up overhead as far as you can without letting go of this sort of front rib flare? Okay. So can you move the arms up overhead without changing shape of the spine? And that's true arm movement. And you can kind of measure, right, how far down, how far past your ear or towards your ear you get. Or are you even, well, I mean, if you're lucky, maybe you're touching the ground with your thumb. Good. And if you want to go super challenge too, you can try both arms at the same time. Again, the priority is keeping your ribs heavy and reaching with the arms with whatever you have left over. There you are. Good. Nice. And we'll do about 3 more rib cage arms. You can either do one arm at a time or double arms. I like this, the shoulder mobility and ab work at the same time. How about that? Good. Last one. Good. Nicely done. All right. However you want to sit yourself up, we're going to roll on over to all fours. So it's important once we find mobility in our shoulders that we reestablish strength in that newfound range of motion, right? So once you stretch something, you need to fill in that new space. You need to fill that in with strength. Otherwise, your mobility is just going to go back to how it was tomorrow. There's nothing to reinforce that. All right. So we're putting in some scaffolding with that new range of motion. We do that through loading through our hands. Go ahead and shift forward over your wrists to stretch your wrists, and then shift back with your hips over your heels. Your feet can either be tucked in with the toes sort of stretched, or you can be laces down. I'll let you choose that today. So shifting forward and shifting back. And again, every time you put weight through your shoulders, you're filling in those gaps, that strength. Yep. Let's keep the elbows straight the whole time. And we'll do 2 more there. And last one. Good. If you need to shake out your wrist real quick, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, meet me in your 4-point here. So shoulders directly over your wrists. Something called sternum drops, which I don't think are really about the sternum at all, but we'll still call them that just for consistency. Right here, we're going to push the ground away and bring your armpits closer to your pinky, which is a weird thing. And then go ahead and let your sternum drop. That makes sense to me, but that's not really where the work is. Push the ground away and push your armpits towards the pinky, and then let your body sort of drop. So this is different from a cat-cow where you're rounding and changing shape of your spine. This is more about your shoulders. So the shoulders are going to touch behind you. Maybe the shoulder blades will kiss behind you. And then you're going to separate the shoulders a lot and push the ground away. Now with this one, it's important that you're not just haphazardly pushing forward, because it could be happening more from the top of your neck and pushing versus from the bottom of your armpits and pushing forward. Okay. So it should be from that place here. And if that's where you're feeling it, excellent job. Okay. So I'm just going to do it this way because it's a little easier to see. So it'd be like sternum drop and then push the ground away. But notice there's a lot of space in between my neck and my shoulder. Shoulder drop and then push the ground away. Good. Elbows are straight. Otherwise, you're going to fake yourself out and think you're doing it, but you're not. Push the ground away. And last one, push the ground away. Beautiful. Sit on up and shake out your wrists for a moment. Very good. We're going to be doing some plank work. Yeah, like full plank. If planks are challenging for you on the floor, you can certainly do this entire thing with your hands on a coffee table or the couch or a table in general. Okay. It's just nice to do it on the floor. You get more load and more strength going on in the shoulders. All right. We ready for this? All right. Find your strong 4-point position. Okay. Push the ground away. That's the foundation in your shoulders. We're going to take 1 foot back and then the other foot back. Look at that. You're in a plank. Nice work. Right here, you're going to push the ground away, lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and start to bring your arms towards your face, or your face towards your arms, I should say. And then shift forward. And then if you need a break, you're just going to take the knees down and shift back over your heels. Let's do that. Okay. Whew. Maybe that was the first time you've done that. Maybe you've done yoga all your life. We're going to go ahead and come back into that plank. Push the ground away and bring your arms up over, quote unquote, overhead. So toward past your ears. There you go. Shift forward. If you need a break, bring the knees down and then shift the hips back, or just go into your next one. I'm just going to take those little pit stops in case anyone else needs them. You can take them with me. Beautiful. And we're just going to do like 2 more of these. I don't want to over stress all of that beautiful shoulder work opening that we did earlier, but I do want to put in some strength. Yep, last two. Oh, I'm a terrible counter. I think that was supposed to be the last one, but if you want another one, go for it. Good, good. And then release. Nice. Shake out your wrists. Great job. Roll out your shoulders. Beautiful. One last one here. Come into that hands and knees position. We're going to bring our hands out a little bit further. This is called thread the needle. You're going to slide one arm underneath and drop towards the floor. You can bend your supporting hand. And if you can get all the way down, even better, but try not to have the weight on your head. Try to have the weight on your shoulder, your bottom shoulder, because we just did all that neck mobility. I don't want you to mess that up. And then go ahead and switch to the other side. So we're going to thread underneath, look underneath your armpit, try to keep the weight on your shoulder instead of your head or your neck. Take an exhale to squeeze all that air out and give that nice rotation. We'll do that one more time in each side if that feels right for you. Go ahead and drop. And back up and go ahead and drop. Great. And bring it on up. Go ahead and sit back on your heels. However you'd like to stand up on your feet and come back to your little station. We're going to do that. You know your body to get yourself up off the floor. I'm not going to over narrate you on that one today. Cool. All right. We're going to do a little bit of vestibular work with all of this newfound range of motion in our neck. We're going to do a little bit of vestibular work. So I want you to find an object, maybe on your wall, or if you want to look at the green dot on your computer camera, something on your screen that's not going to move. Your eyes are going to laser lock on that object. And we're going to turn our eyes laser lock on the object, and we're going to turn the head only. Go ahead and move your head to the farthest side. Pick a side you want to work with, and you're going to rotate as far as you can without losing focus on the object. And then go ahead and turn to the other side. When you're doing these head and eye drills, make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. So again, all those tubes that are coming down from your brain to your body and body up to your brain, all those tubes, you want them in good alignment. So sitting up nice and tall, having your head a little bit retracted, and just moving from right to left. And that should not be, it should not be super comfortable, especially if you're fully pushing yourself to the limit there. Maybe a little bit of eye strain happens. If you get dizzy or nauseous or just out of sorts, go ahead and just sit back in your chair and close your eyes. Good. We're going to do maybe 3 or 4 passes yet. Nicely done. Great job. Finish up your last couple of passes. I know, right? Let's grab your letter ball or your object that you're going to pass around. If you know the rules, everyone's been here before, but I'm just going to reiterate in case someone is watching on the recording. Go ahead and do your letter ball, and I'll start from the beginning if you don't already know. So for the letter ball, you're going to have an object. You're going to pass it to yourself, or if you have a partner in the room, partner passing is even better. Try to grab the ball with both hands so that you get both right and left sides of your body working together to react to the task. And if you have letters or numbers or something written on your ball, even better, you're going to say the first letter or number that you see, 11, and then you reset the cycle, X, 3. Good. If you have letters or numbers and you want to increase the brain challenge, you're going to say words that start with the letter that you see. The numbers will stay the same. Good. And for today, we're looking at convergence. I'm trying to get your eyes to localize on something both coming at you and something that's stationary. So it's really important that you laser lock your eyes on the object as you're saying it. It's about drawing your eyes to an object as quick as possible, focusing in on that object. You can try different ways. You can bounce it off the floor. You can bounce it off the wall is a good one. I always like bouncing it off the wall, but I understand that you don't always have a wall you can do that with. We're going to go for about 10 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Nicely done. Great job. All right, go ahead and walk around the room. Kind of your post-class checkout. Walk around the room, see how you're feeling, see how that stride's moving. I know we didn't do a lot for your lower body and your feet, but let's just see if there was a trickle effect there. So at the beginning, I told you to take some notes on your stride length, the fluidity of your step, the speed that you're walking in, maybe the sound that your feet are making when they hit the ground. Is it, thuddy, or are you able to kind of soften that gait? Do you have hip rotation? Do you have natural arm swing that happens without you thinking of it? Arm swing shouldn't happen by force. It's a factor of hip rotation. And your overall general feeling of how you feel when you're walking. Oh, do you feel like you need to look down at your feet, or can you look up? That was another one. Good. Go ahead and bring it back to your seats. And you're going to either test your sit to stands or test your breath. I'm going to test my breath. So if you're testing sit to stands, it's just up and down. You can test the smoothness or your bias. If you're testing breath, just go ahead and close your eyes. Notice where your air comes in, any restriction or clearness in the tubes, where it's filling, and then the duration of your inhale, the breath hold, the exhale, and the vacation phases of your breath cycle. How are those the same or different from the beginning? And as you become more relaxed and in tune with your body, you should be able to have a longer exhale, a longer vacation phase, without feeling sort of stressed that you're not going to be able to take another breath. Great. And then we're going to do we're just going to do a minute today of, or let's do thermometer. Did anything get better for you? Better, worse, same? Great. Everyone got positive results. Awesome. Great. All right. So we're going to do 1 minute of reflection. You can find a comfortable position. You can be seated in the chair. You can be laying on your side, laying on your back, just giving yourself space to play back the session and take the things that you learned today into a more permanent place in your brain. This is an important aspect of neuroplasticity and long-lasting change. All right, so I'm going to put the timer on and I'm going to take off. If you want to turn off your video, you're more than welcome to too.